Hey everyone, it's lovely to be here, and it was a real pleasure for MS New Zealand to invite me to do this recording to say hi to you all, as we are all now in compulsory confinement for the next 4 weeks due to COVID-19. And hopefully this video is going to bring you a little bit of inspiration and a bit of motivation about how to really get the most out of this 4 weeks for your own benefit. My name's Julie Davey. I am a neurological physio and I own a practice up in Auckland. But I am the founder and the creator of a program called MS Get a Head Start. So MS Get a Head Start is an innovative, very revolutionary exercise and health behaviour change program that has been about 8 years of development work that I've set up, and we launched it last year, actually March last year. We launched it internationally, and we have trained therapists in New Zealand and in Australia and in the UK. So more information can be found specifically about MS Get a Head Start on its website. If you just Google MS Get a Head Start, you can find that, and I'll hopefully pop the web link somewhere along here as well when we come to the end of this video. But let's focus on what you can do now. So obviously this is unprecedented times. We are living in a situation that as a human population and a human race, we've never had to be so forced into isolation. Not being able to, give friends, colleagues a hug goodbye on our last day in the clinic was a really, really bizarre circumstance to be stuck in. Anyway, we're all here, and as New Zealand is, I think, a really amazing place to be right about now, because we have a proactive government. We're doing all of this a lot earlier and before a lot of other countries, so hopefully we're going to come out of it better. But we've all got 4 weeks, so what can you do to self-manage your MS really well? So first of all, exercise is really vital, okay? But to do our exercise, the thing I really encourage you guys now is to think about your routine. We've got 4 weeks of you basically not being disturbed. So how can you set your routine? So for me, I've already made a new little routine sheet. I'm getting up at the same time every day. Alarm is set, okay? To get up, go out for a walk, so get some fresh air, then come back in, have my shower, get onto my work desk, get working, and go from there. And I've got my routines around some of my other exercises. So what we know is one of the biggest reported symptoms around MS is fatigue, okay? And managing your fatigue proactively can be a real challenge when you are trying to juggle work and appointments and this and that. Now, I know some of you are going to have quite a full-on time at home if you've got the kids back from school and managing that. But, really try and utilize this time to get your fatigue management in place. So taking that 10 to 20 minutes at least once, if not twice a day, of complete rest. So that's no TV, no radio, no looking at Facebook, just switch that mind off. The best thing I could advise is some guided meditation. So we've got some beautiful meditation apps out there. For example, Calm, there's Headspace, and there's also Buddhify. Those are the 3 that I strongly recommend. Being able to do, especially at this point in time, it is extremely stressful. It's very nerve-wracking for a huge amount of the population, and for us as well. It's, definitely a very anxious time to be. So getting to a really good habit now, every day, plug yourself into one of those meditation apps, or just taking the time to schedule in rest, because it takes 3 to 4 weeks to build a habit. So if you can spend the next 4 weeks creating really good habits around your self-management, that's only going to propel you into a better place as we go forward. So fatigue management, get it scheduled in once to twice a day, 10 to 20 minutes. The next one is, so keeping that routine, like what's the first thing you drink in the morning? Okay, if you're getting up and you're a coffee drinker, okay, or, you just have a sip of water, your brain is probably like a shriveled raisin, okay? It's been dehydrated overnight. So a really good routine thing here, get that brain nice and juicy. It's 85% of fluid is needed in your brain. So first thing in the morning, get that nice big glass of water down you, okay? Again, take the time to create that habit so you're setting yourself up really well. The other thing, obviously I'm going to come to exercise in a moment because that's a biggie, but the other thing to make an effort of in the next 4 weeks is your brain is evolved and highly specific to learn throughout its lifetime. So if you are not working, i.e. before obviously COVID-19, if you had retired or not able to work because of your situation at all, with your MS, take this opportunity in this time to start creating that habit of learning something new. So I'd recommend writing a list, things like learning a language, is it learning astrology, learning music, learning a craft, because the day and age now of what's available on the internet, you can learn nearly anything of YouTube when it comes to a craft or a skill, okay? But lots of online learning platforms are available out there. And again, if you're just going to do half an hour a day of actually challenging that brain, would be amazing. So I'd really recommend that. So exercise is absolutely non-negotiable, okay, even in this isolation lockdown period, because it is exercise that is going to increase your immunity, okay? There's obviously a lot of concerns about immune levels with those living with MS. Exercise positively increases that, okay? So what I would recommend is that you need to be getting outside for some vitamin D. Yet we're isolated doesn't mean you have to be locked into the four walls the whole time. So can you be getting out to go for a walk, okay, which would be amazing, okay? Even if your walking's limited and we're just talking, is that just up to the letterbox and back? That's fantastic. Can you have a seat out in the garden just to get some nice bit of fresh air, every day? If you aren't walking, you're in a wheelchair, can you go for a push? Okay, or and if you can't go for a push, can someone push you just around your local area just to, again, get into some of that nice fresh air, and just remind yourselves that, we do live in this, beautiful climate, this beautiful country. So outside is really important. The thing that I really want to stress is getting the heart rate up, okay? We've got to get out of breath to help protect our brains, look after our cardiovascular system. The fitter and stronger you are, okay, and if you end up, all fingers crossed, but if you end up unfortunately getting COVID-19, the fitter and stronger you are beforehand puts you in a better situation of how to cope with it. So we need to get that heart rate up. So I recommend that you should be getting your heart rate real puffing and panting at least 3 to 4 times a week. Now, the good news is I'm not talking about turning this into, hours of exercise. It could be as quick as 30 seconds of shadow boxing. So even if you're in the wheelchair, okay, even if you've only really got one arm, okay, if you are less effective and you can be up there and standing, if you shadow box at full pace, okay, and even do some speed balls or some undercuts without stopping, for 30 seconds, you'll realize how long 30 seconds is, and that's going to get you out of breath. And if you did 3 lots of 30 seconds, feel that heart going, you're making some positive changes. If you've got access to an exercise bike, is fantastic. And with an exercise bike, again, you can do some sprints, okay, 30 seconds as fast as you can, okay, and then just 30 seconds to a minute just cruising, okay? So you can use an exercise bike if it's at hand. That's amazing. If you are, relatively newly diagnosed or very minimally impaired and you've got things like a skipping rope, okay, just doing a minute, okay, or 2 minutes of skipping, okay, is amazingly hard. Now, obviously that is for those who are able to do that. So, okay, you've got outside walking. If you're able to go for a run, that's amazing. Skipping is a real good fitness in a confined area place. Okay, if your mobility is more affected, can you go just for even a short walk? Do you have access to an exercise bike? Or if not, and even if you're unfortunately in a wheelchair, let's get that shadow boxing going, okay? Let's get that heart rate really going. I think give yourself some challenges over this 4 weeks. It's a great way to kind of, get yourself into a bit of routine, is a challenge. And one of those challenges is, can you do 100 sit to stands non-stop? Okay, so those who are, again, up here, who are very minimally affected, if you can do 100 sit to stands without stopping, you're going to feel that in your quads. If you can do 100 stand-ups every day for the next 4 weeks, you are going to have some really strong and very nice looking thighs, okay? So give that a go. Now, if you were further down here on the mobility spectrum, then let's start with 10. Okay, well, let's start with 5, and then each day add 2 on. Okay, so you do on your first day, how many stand-ups can you do? Now, if you can't stand up without using your arms, then use your arms. I don't mind how you get up to start with. And then each day, add 2 more on. And the goal, can you get to 100 stand-ups by the end of the 4 weeks? And I think we should have a 100 stand-up challenge. We might get the MS team getting this going on their Facebook page for people to log in and let us know where they've got to. Once you can do 100 stand-ups, even if you're using your arms, can you then do it with one arm helping? Or could you do it off a really high surface, like a perching stool or off the bed, where it's easier to stand up? So think if you could take on the 100-day sit-to-stand, or 100 a day sit-to-stand challenge for the next 4 weeks. Okay. The other really good challenge is one leg standing. How long can you balance on one leg for? Okay, so those who are really good with their mobility, you could be standing on one leg. Could you close an eye? Could you close both eyes? Could you move your head? You know, really tax yourself. Could you play catch with someone? If your mobility isn't very good, can you hold on and stand on one leg? Now, if you can do that, can you get to the point where you could take one hand off? Could you get both hands off? Okay. The important thing though, team, if you are standing on one leg, no locked knees. Okay. You need to have that knee soft. So not bent, but soft. Don't allow it to lock back. Okay. One of the measures we use in a clinical setting is if you can stand for 20 seconds without holding on, that decreases your risk of falls. So if you can give yourself a little test now, how long can you stand on one leg for? And if you can't stand on one leg for 20 seconds or more, that's your homework for the next 4 weeks. And obviously this is just a little web recording. I can't make this applicable for every individual in their situation. And obviously I appreciate if you've been in a wheelchair for a number of years, standing on one leg, unfortunately, isn't going to be something you're going to practice. However, if you are in a wheelchair, and even if you're not in the wheelchair, how about some upper limb strength, okay? Think of a challenge, think of a task. Have you got a weight at home, or can you fill up, you know, a plastic container full of water? How well can you lift that? Oh, I can only do 5 of those. Well, then your challenge is each day or each second day, do an extra one, okay? So then can you get 6? Then can you get to 8? You know, so think about what you can be like, oh yeah, you know, I used to be able to lift, you know, something above my head and now I can't. So I'm just going to practice using my arm to do that. Then I'm going to see if I can hold on to a can of beans and do that. Okay, so think about giving yourself a little challenge. If you can do 1, then you can work on doing 2. And if you can do 2 of something, you can work on doing 3. And then 4, and then 5. And just think about that little, just chipping away an extra 1 each time you do it. Okay. Dexterity. Now, obviously, there's a huge amount of the individuals there around living with MS who have struggled with some dexterity. So doing some fine tasks, setting yourself up half an hour or so of, is it playing a board game? Okay, is it playing cards, Monopoly, Connect 4? Okay, is it practicing your writing, drawing, painting, moving pasta shapes from one bowl to another? Okay, something that's making you really articulate and get that dexterity in the fingers. Okay, so is there a little craft that you can do? Okay, and I say you don't need to go out and buy anything because you can't unless you go to the supermarket, but you can get some dried beans or some dried pasta and stack those up. Okay, you know, if you are really high end, you know, I've mentioned skipping and hopping, but you know, there's lots of resources out there. There's some, I've already seen that MS Society has put some online resources about some yoga, etc. But my kind of final words here is that it's a very bizarre time for us. You know, we're all having to make adjustments, but you have 4 weeks of giving yourself the opportunity to make some real positive changes. Those positive changes, I'd like you to think about your hydration level, your fatigue management, learning something new, your diet, okay, and your exercise routine. If you can be covering those 5 areas, getting puffing and panting out of breath 3 to 4 times a week, you're going to be doing really well. And I say, just think about that 100 sit to stands a day challenge, or whatever it may be. What can you only do a few of that you're going to try and do a little bit more? Okay, now it's not necessarily going to roll out in the next 4 weeks, but we've just got a research proposal through with ethics at the moment for MS Get a Head Start, to actually deliver MS Get a Head Start as a full online program to individuals in New Zealand as a research project. So it will be free. So just stay in touch with the MS Society. As soon as we've got those resources and the ethics approval ready, we will be rolling that out. So hopefully in the next couple of months, you will all have the opportunity to jump online and do a 6-week MS Get a Head Start program with me. Okay, so if anyone has any direct questions, please feel free to drop me an email. It's Gilly, Gilly, at ms, and then little slash ghs.com. Okay, thank you very much. Look after each other, stay healthy, stay well, and we'll see you all when we get out the other side.